Greetings and welcome to an Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable starring Wellfield Technologies Incorporated. I'm Rob in the basement wearing my toque because it is the holiday season. It's chilly out there in a lot of places. Galen over there wearing his headset to keep warm. His earmuffs.
Yes, that's right.
They're actually technically electronic earmuffs.
That's about it.
Michelle up yonder, and straight upstairs in the penthouse, living large because he wrote the article about Wellfield, is Joseph Morton. And Joseph Morton is going to start talking about WFLD on the venture exchange, which would be Wellfield. And we're talking about DeFi, decentralized finance. Get after it, Joseph.
All right, well, a quick definition. Decentralized finance is completely technical, completely digital financial instruments. They're produced on multiple different computers in multiple different places, and they kick out the middlemen being banks, being the necessity of going to the bank and talking to the person with a nice suit on to get your loan. The big promise is that they're going to make them more efficient and more democratic. Now, whether or not that's actually going to happen is really up for debate. Now, what Wellfield does is they create nice little widgets. They have two of them. The first product is called Seamless. It connects the Bitcoin blockchain to Ethereum to allow for seamless transactions and transfers between, allowing for increasing liquidity pools on Ethereum blockchain. Now, blockchains don't play well with others. They're not built that way. Bitcoin generally doesn't communicate very well with Ethereum. There's a lot of problems in the way. Ethereum doesn't communicate well with Bitcoin because they're not based on the same kind of program. This actually builds a bridge between them.
Yeah.
And that's super important when it comes to figuring out how to do business between the two, because sometimes you don't want to use a stable coin when dealing with Ethereum.
Can I give a quick
program? The second product they have is it's called Moneyclip. What it essentially is, it's I will skip all the technical stuff. It's an application that goes on your phone, which gives you access to all of DeFi products, basically bank accounts, liquidity pools for lending. It gives you access to services you normally find only on the Ethereum blockchain, and that is. Like for folks like me who are actually interested in that kind of thing, having that in the palm of my hand, it's a great product. Quite frankly, it is. Like normally, it's a huge rigmarole just to get involved, and if I can have that in a clever app on my phone, that's a big deal for folks like me.
So you're just basically you're doing transactions on your own.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Joseph, if I mention the word citizen banking, a lot of people like to use the term citizen banking or DeFi. Would that apply here with Wellfield as well?
I think citizen banking doesn't necessarily mean you're still using an intermediary like what's the word I'm looking for here?
A
like a credit
institution?
Union. Okay. You're like a credit union. Like you still need an intermediary.
Yeah.
With this, not so much. You connect directly with Ethereum. You can actually, stake how much money you want, and you can actually build liquidity in exchange for getting, like tokens, which are worth money, which you can take to a different exchange in exchange for fiat. Or
I just also wanted to quickly touch on that point you mentioned about the bridging, the blockchains there. There are people here that probably use Ethereum to say buy DeFi tokens. I know you can buy a few of them now on your Bittrex and Coinbase and stuff, but if you want to stake into projects, you have to use Ethereum really. And if you want to buy your NFTs, you're using Ethereum, and the gas fees for Ethereum are still they're better now, mind you, after the upgrades in Ethereum, but it was still quite pricey, and a lot of people are looking forward to a day when the ecosystem for Ethereum is so strong, but you have to use ETH to buy, say, an NFT or maybe some DeFi tokens. But if the fees are still too high, people would like to use other tokens, which apparently can do it quicker and faster. And I know now in the blockchain world, a lot of people are looking at these tokens that can sort of bridge the gap as well. So I'm definitely interested in these kind of things.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know anyone who would actually use Ethereum nowadays to get the tokens. Like a lot of the times they would go to Solana or Cardano because
Exactly. Yep.
the much reduced fees. But I mean, like, I don't know, you're not going to get better quality than what you're going to get from Ethereum. Like, it is the originator, right? Like, if you want, like, all the cutting edge stuff is done on Ethereum.
So basically what Wellfield allows is for me to walk in and say, I'm going to spend 13 right Bitcoins on something, right? For instance, an NFT, which is listing for Ethereum. But if I spend those 13 Bitcoins on Wellfield, I can trade directly to Ethereum, correct? Rather than having to pull my money out and buy Ethereum?
Yes, you can.
Right. Okay. So that's the seamless
Bitcoin to buy things on Ethereum.
Yes. So basically what they're doing is they're allowing it to be a quote unquote, as they said, seamless transaction. So all the currencies can relate to each other, just like fiat currencies today, where I can use my Canadian dollar to buy something in Japan, or right, there's a conversion, there's no stop gap that I have to go, well, I got to buy Japanese dollars and that kind of stuff. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. Awesome. I think this is a very interesting prospect. It brings legitimacy to the cryptocurrency market because, as Joseph stated earlier, it was entirely segmented because blockchains do not cooperate with each other. They're written on different protocols. I still, however, have a bit of an issue with the idea of cryptocurrency itself. I think what Wellfield brings to the table is a good thing, but it really isn't going to heal the problem of what we expect to be a decentralized form of currency, which technically isn't. If you look at the numbers right now, you have 0.01% of the hodlers, I hate that word, of Bitcoin, controlling 25% of the 19 million float of Bitcoin. Now, that's not decentralized in any way, shape, or form. And basically what that means to a certain extent is rather than central banks, you're submitting to private individuals or institutions that have the same control over the currency that central banks once had. So guess what? We're just switching handcuffs. We're not actually breaking free. I think there's a lot to be said for what's going on with Wellfield because they're trying to actually use the technology itself to forward the blockchain technologies. But honestly, the cryptocurrency for me still has to prove that it's actually viable and can replace what we have right now and actually make it better. Because basically all it is changing one for the other. The problems we have for currency is not a currency problem. The problems we have with currency, quote unquote, are economic issues that are deeply inset into our mindset and into our culture and also into our economic policies. So unless we change those, we're not going to get any different. We're just going to switch masters. That's my point. But as I said before, Wellfield does supply a method and a pathway to make this a legitimate market because there needs to be a lot more regulation in place. We need to eliminate the volatility and also the massive control that we have on different cryptocurrencies. It's that way with many of them. There is a large holding by a small amount of individuals, which again act as central banks. That's basically it. That's me.
So it sounds like they're just trying to get ahead of it. So in other words, if this takes a year, 2 years, 5 years to finally get to what is the dream of DeFi, where everybody can just on their own go, hey, let me send you this, Galen, or let me send this corporation this or that or this, like however long that takes, because right now we're still tied to intermediaries.
Yeah.
This company is trying to be kind of a groundbreaker in terms of having that.
I think this technology could be applied in any situation, fiat, whatever. So what they're providing is actually viable right now.
Right. It's just going to take a while to become reality.
Well,
the amusing bit is that Wellfield is trying to become another intermediary in a sea that's supposed to be kicking out intermediaries. That's what I see.
Well, now, yes, but I mean,
if you want to go down the ideological rabbit hole with this one, I mean, you could start with blockchain and crypto and et cetera. It's supposed to be the end all and be all. It's supposed to effectively do this. It's supposed to be the thing that bridges the gap and completely redistributes wealth. But as you said, it didn't actually do that because wealth just recognized where what money was going and went where the puck is, that borrow hockey phrase. That's the thing that's going to happen with DeFi, as far as I'm concerned. And Wellfield, if you want to get ahead of that, this is the company to buy, because this is the type of company that is actually going to end up owning and distributing DeFi.
What's your take, Joseph? I'm not sure if you've looked into it, but like Square, Jack Dorsey over at Square.
I know Square quite well, yeah.
Yep, a lot of people are claiming that, Dorsey stepped away from Twitter and he's going to be now focusing a lot, purely on Square. I know, they're more
and his beard.
Sorry?
And his beard.
Oh, and his beard.
He's also doing some work with Bitcoin.
Okay. I thought they were looking to do crypto payments. I don't know if it's going to be DeFi, but
Square's been doing crypto payments for a while now.
Okay, they have. Okay. But was there any talks of them maybe looking into DeFi as well?
Oh, probably. I haven't seen anything of that variety, but it would be dumb if you didn't.
Yeah, it would be big news too if they did, just because they are quite a large payment service there. So
let's
keep an eye out on that too.
Let's go charts. This is a new thing, WFLD on the venture.
Yeah. So Rob, if you remember, I think we spoke about this company the day before they IPO'd. So I believe it was on November 29th or that week of. The first day of trading was November 30th. If you guys sort of recall, I did talk about I'm not really a big IPO guy. I like to wait to develop support and resistance levels. Of course, if you got in early, right, there are people who get in before the shares go publicly traded. You tend to do quite well, and there was a big move high up here, hitting highs of $1.70, so all-time record highs, sits in at $1.70. But this is the sort of action we've, I guess, unfortunately, have seen in a lot of IPOs recently, where you make that pop up and you see people take their profits. And the stock just slid lower. There was some hope that we were going to get some support around the $1.25 level. Unfortunately, last week on Friday, on the 17th of December, we actually closed below that support, closed below $1.25. And then unfortunately here on Monday, as we begin the week here, the stock hit new record lows. So it's just one of those things, for IPOs, I just like to wait for a few more, I would say months, a couple of months, maybe a few weeks, a few months, just to get some price levels that we can work with. But if I was going to be put on the spot here, $1, right? That's sort of your big support zone now. I mean, that's a big psychological support zone. We're at $1.13, so it'd still be 13 cents to go below, but usually $1 is a very important psychological zone, and that's the only number I can give you right now, because we have no price action right now in the stock, unless we do see a reversal and we get a close back above $1.25. That would basically invalidate or neutralize that breakdown. But from now, we made all-time new records here, and it looks like we're probably going to be going to that $1 psychological zone down there. And I think this is one that personally I'll be watching for next year, just because it looks like their Get Moneyclip product is already out, but the seamless part of the business is going to be launching in 2022. And I think, as we head closer to that launch, maybe the stock will see a bit of traction. But not a good day today, down 6%, making all-time record lows, and we might make a few more record lows until we hit that $1 zone.
Let's bounce around here and see if anybody's willing to wager on the $7,500 before it maybe sinks some more, or do they think it might be at a good spot? Joseph, you go first.
Oh, I really wish you had made me go first, because I've been thinking about this ever since Vishal started talking. The thing is, it's really early in DeFi, really, really early when it comes to DeFi. I mean, decentralized finance in general. I think next year is going to be a big year for DeFi. It's going to definitely be a make it or break it. But my trajectory, my idea is that decentralized finance is going to see a new injection of life as new DAOs going to bring their projects online. And maybe we'll actually start seeing some of these actual projects become decentralized instead of having the promise of it somewhere down the line. Because The big thing about decentralized finance is that they don't have there aren't any truly decentralized products yet. It's always, we're going to do that in Q3 of next year, Q2 of next year. It's like we got that. We're trying to figure out a way to go completely decentralized, but we haven't figured it out. Or we have a roadmap towards decentralization, and we are 3 of 5 steps away. I mean, you get the idea. It's always these vague promises.
Yeah.
And I think until that actually happens, we will not actually start seeing real money start flowing to DeFi. Yeah, it's up like $72 billion. It's a good size market, obviously, but this is spread out over hundreds of companies, hundreds of autonomous organizations. And until that happens, I'm not sure if I'd totally be comfortable with getting into bed with an intermediary, but just for the sheer sake of at least having some skin in the game for when this does happen, I go in with at least 1,000. Like if it's money if it's money I'm okay with losing, then I'd go in for 1,000, and I'd sit on it, hold it, and if it starts making moves, I'd pump in more.
All right, $1,000. I was going to say, you don't want to look at it as if I lose it, but it just means you're going to maybe holding on to that for a long time. Let's just put it that way. But then again, if everybody says, well, I'm going to wait and see the bottom out, this is why it bottoms out, right?
Yep.
If everybody's thinking the same way you are, then it is going to settle down into a low zone before everybody decides to start buying. And that would mean, Galen, pressure's on you.
Well, as you can probably tell, I'm not a huge fan of cryptocurrency and also decentralized finance, because I think, to a certain extent, the philosophy is somewhat flawed. When I actually see peer-to-peer lending taking place, peer-to-peer, then I'd be probably more inclined to support decentralized finance if it's not usury, because there's the other problem that we could run into. I think, however, the universality and the interchangeability of cryptocurrency is a necessary move. They can no longer operate in separate ecosystems. It doesn't make any sense, and basically will Sony Betamax themselves out of existence. So basically, I am for Wellfield Technologies. I see that it's taken a bit of a dive since its IPO, but I think that's more a product of the market. And are now sort of lessening confidence in cryptocurrencies. You can see by what many cryptocurrencies are at right now. Nobody's really sure about where it's all going to head. There's a field of 1 billion of them, and who's going to survive, and what services are actually necessary, and then a rethinking of the philosophy itself. However, I think Wellfield has something that it actually can offer. It has a substantive product line, but at this point, as Vishal was stating, it's well above its $1 support level. I would wait to see just how it does. If it levels at $1, see, here's my confidence level in cryptocurrency coming into play. Yeah. I don't know if I would, but you know what the hell? I put 500 in just to see where it goes next year. Because right now there's so much not known about the global economy. We're having lockdowns happening left, right, and center, currency issues, other ways that don't necessarily lend support to cryptocurrency itself, and general global economic problems. And that now may not be the time. So I'm going to put 500 in. There's me being Mr. Pessimistic.
Look at you. That's fine. That's fine. That's better than zero.
Well, see, there you go.
Zero's fine too.
Yeah, that's probably the number I'm going to use here, Rob. I would just be watching for some sort of bottoming. Hopefully, it comes in at that $1 zone. But in my thinking, I'm not like as bearish on cryptos or as DeFi. I would rather play the actual tokens, like some DeFi tokens and some crypto tokens, rather than like a stock. And that's sort of the path that I'm on personally, with my own portfolio, where I do own some DeFi tokens and obviously some cryptos. So I would rather just do it that way. But for the stock here, watch to see if we get some sort of support at $1. If you're going to be looking to enter, you want to see a few days of candles like this, essentially. It looked like we were going to get a bottom here in range, but unfortunately we broke down. So I would be waiting to see if we can build some sort of base and a range and then wait for that eventual breakout just to indicate that, hey, look, all the sellers are gone and we're looking for another leg higher. But until then, I'm on the sidelines, or I'm playing the casinos that are the crypto markets and the DeFi tokens.
All right. Nobody's snagging it right now, at least very little snag at the moment as we await to see. It's kind of fun, though, to see this a month later. So we did, as you mentioned, did it right before the IPO. And now here we are watching it sliding down, and find out how far it slides before people decide to start buying it again. Very good stuff. We tell our viewers and listeners to please do their own research and their own homework, because past results do not guarantee future performance. And we can't guarantee what we tell you. We can just give you kind of really cool information and education, which is what we're doing right now. Galen over there, Michelle up there, Joseph in the penthouse. Nicely done. Read his article, which should be right near us here on the Equity Guru website. Yeah, check it out. And we'll see you on the next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.
Excuse me while I hike up my pants and yell at the kids to get off my lawn.